Hello and welcome to The Issue. I'm Justin Chenette. Linda Valentino was elected to the Maine House of Representatives in 2004 and then re-elected in 2006. Since then, she has served on the Legal and Veterans Affairs Committee as well as the Appropriations Committee. She joins me in the studio to discuss her second re-election campaign. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, Justin, for having me here. I always enjoy coming down to Thornton Academy, my alma mater, to see everybody, and I especially enjoy our interviews that we've had over the years together.
Great. Let's begin with the common but necessary question. Why do you want to be state representative?
Why I'm really running for re-election is that I feel that I've made a difference in Augusta in the 4 years that I've been there. Especially now where I'm on the Appropriations Committee, I have a great deal of knowledge of all areas of the budget. The Appropriations Committee meets all summer and all fall, even though the legislature is not in session. So we've been briefed all the time on different areas of the budget, especially on the economic forecasts, on our revenues, on the budgets, what's going on. So I really feel I have a much better handle after 4 years of being in Augusta on a lot of the needs from a budget point of view.
Due to the location of this taping, what have you specifically done for the TA community?
Well, for the Thornton Academy community, it was, I think, a real big win last year. As you may be aware, there was a change in the governor's proposal to on the insured value factor. The insured value factor was money that was being received by private schools in the state of Maine, such as Thornton Academy. If it had gone through as proposed by the governor, there was going to be a $1 million hit to Thornton Academy in one budget year. This was totally unacceptable. Being a member of the Appropriations Committee, I was able to get on this issue very, very quickly and have Carl Stasio on the phone. Headmaster Stasio came up to Augusta on several occasions, along with members of their finance committee, trustees. We worked this out. We set up some meetings with Sue Gendron and basically kind of dug in our heels and said, we need to do something different. This is too big a hit, and we cannot do this. Long story short, we ended up restoring over $600,000 to the proposed $1 million cut, which was a great compromise, over 50% back, and really enabled Thornton Academy to continue without having to do any severe cuts or layoffs on that. So I know everybody was extremely, extremely pleased with the work that I had done as a member of the Appropriations Committee for Thornton.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, how would you rate your constituency services?
Well, I think I do a good job with constituency service. I certainly wouldn't give myself a 10 because there's many times when I'm in committees and I don't get back to people right away. One person actually called me on the circuit breaker forms, and I lost the phone number, and luckily they called back, and a couple of days later I was able to go back. I try to do a lot of work for my constituents. I go to their homes, I do the circuit breaker forms in Augusta when they come up. I deal with a lot of different problems with constituents on a one-on-one basis. I always try to help. Sometimes they call me and it's beyond the scope of what I can do, legal matters or, police things, and that's, you try to help the constituents, but you certainly can't interfere with anything that may be an ongoing investigation or DHHS or something.
Okay. A typical question of any incumbent is, what did they do in office? So let's take a look at your voting record real quick. On the Maine State Legislature website, there's a bill search function. I typed in your name and 13 bills naming you as the sponsor particularly appeared. And 7 out of the 13 bills that you've particularly sponsored have to do with election reform. With the current status of the economy and the difficult decisions some Mainers are going to have to make this winter between heating their homes and putting food on the table, do you believe that election reform was on the top of voters' minds?
No. Election reform, I had put in those bills 2 years ago, and that was because I was on the Legal and Veterans Affairs Committee, and being a member of the committee at the time, you're very close to a lot of issues. These were issues that were very close to a lot of people a few years back. Issues change with the economy, with the oil situation and everything. So these were bills that I had put in. I'm a clean election candidate. I believe very strongly in our clean election system. Not only do I not take any money from outside interest, I do not seek or use any endorsements from any groups or organizations. I've seen firsthand the influence that the lobbyists have up in Augusta, and I feel very strongly that we should change a lot of our finance, especially when it comes to PACs. People run as clean election candidates and say, I'm not going to collect money from anybody, and then they set up an individual PAC, and there's no limit on PACs for the donations. So somebody can collect $10,000, $100,000 from somebody and still run as a clean election candidate. These were the types of things that I tried to close as far as those loopholes go. I really feel that I'm pretty much my own person for the city of Saco, and I don't like a lot of the influence that big money buys.
You mentioned those bills were proposed by you 2 years ago. What recently have you done for the people of Saco, specifically in sponsoring bills?
Well, the host community bill for the city of Saco was very successful on, and the host community, when Saco did not renew the contract with the incinerator, they lost technically their host status because they were not a party to the contract itself. So I submitted legislation, and we went before the various committees on it to change the definition of a host community, saying that areas within certain mileage of the incinerator could be considered as host community status, which would have a greater say on, like, say, different things as being regulated for the DEP in the state of Maine. And that was very successful, so Saco was granted host community status on that. Obviously, the largest thing that I've been working at is the bill to underground high voltage lines in certain areas. 2 years we worked on that, and actually was very successful in stalling the bill. I've actually resubmitted the bill and looking for co-sponsors on it if I'm reelected to put them in. 2 years ago, it was more like a sleeper bill, even though it affected everybody in the state of Maine. People thought of it as a Saco issue because we were doing the upgrade here in Saco. Now that CMP has proposed the $1.4 billion expansion, it affects many different counties and many different districts in the state. I think there's going to be a lot more interest, and instead of Senator Hobbins and I being the only two fighting to keep this bill alive, we're going to have a lot of help from other senators and other representatives on it. I want to make clear that I am for the CMP expansion. If we are going to be seeking alternative energy sources such as wind power, we need to upgrade the electrical system. But my bill proposed only undergrounding it in certain areas, such as by the middle school or residential homes, when it was feasible to do. I think it was a good bill. We worked out a lot of great compromises. I think the timing was wrong, and I think the timing this year will be much better to do that. And I'm actively pursuing that again.
Staying on the topic of your voting record, the Maine League of Conservation Voters recently praised your voting record on supporting bills that will have a positive impact on the community. Specifically, how do you plan to continue to help Saco go green?
Well, to help Saco go green, I've also supported the rebate program and the wind power rebate for municipalities. Unfortunately, there was not enough money to extend the program to the homeowners at this time, but we did manage to get it in there for the municipalities. With Saco having 2 different windmills, obviously this was something that was a big issue for me to make sure that Saco was being protected on.
Okay. On the Appropriations Committee, you recently voted against giving additional retirement benefits to educators, citing the $200 million price tag as your rationale. Critics say that you've let down educators. Can you defend your vote?
Most certainly, I can defend my vote. I have a wonderful record for teachers, for students there. 2 years ago, I was endorsed by the MEA, the Maine Education Association, for my voting record. I've always voted to support the pay increases so that we could get good quality teachers on starting salaries. I've had a very good record on that. The vote that you're talking about was in the Appropriations Committee, and that came in the last couple of days of session. would have added $190 million to our unfunded liability, and also would have added $10 million to our next year budget. This was something that I could not justify at the time, to add that type of thing. I go door to door and I talk with taxpayers when I do campaigning, and everybody is very worried. Everybody is very concerned. This would have benefited a group of people that only between 1983 and 1993 that were under what was called the cliff on it. To reach back 15 years and change the retirement age from 62 and lower it to 60 when Social Security has increased their retirement age, and to give additional benefits to people who already have jobs, and adding so much money to the budget. I looked at it solely as a budgetary issue, that this was something the state of Maine could not afford. Especially in this time, they've been trying for 15 years to change something that the McKernan administration changed, and this was not the time to do that. So I certainly can defend it from a financial point of view.